metabolic disorders, cancer, pain, inflammation, and to the neurodegenerative diseases. In finding the lead identification, lead optimization, and preclinical development stages. So worth mention here that Dr. Kharkar recently completed preclinical development of cancer stimulus inhibitor lead molecule and about to file the IND application. You can understand this as an inventor of new drug molecules, something which is just a dream for many. So again, he's a registered patent agent as well, presently an inventor on 7 national and international patent applications, recently filed a second use patent for COVID-19. So besides, he guided 5 PhD and more than 25 PG students so far. I am further delighted to mention that Dr. Kharkar has published more than 60 research papers in reputed international journals and presented more than 40 abstracts in conference of international reputation, such as the Gordon Research Conference and SES meetings. He is also a recipient of grant over 2 crore from various national funding agencies and industries and as consultancy projects as well. So recipient of National Science Academy INSA Award for International Exchange Program in 2015. He is also the recipient of prestigious Newton Bhabha Research Links Workshop Award 2019. Apart from that, he is a member of national and international professional societies as well. He is a grant reviewer for many national and international organizations. He is a reviewer of prestigious peer-reviewed international journals such as the Science Translational Medicine, Journal of Medicinal Chemistry, European Journal of Medicinal Chemistry, Drug Development Research, and many more alike. So the students on board, as far as GPAT is concerned, medicinal chemistry is known as the nightmare for most of the students, if I'm not wrong. And today we have the kind of personality with us who has a great command on the subject and the topic. So please note, we take up few questions at the end of the session. So please type in your questions on YouTube or Zoom chat boxes, and I will convey your queries, your questions to our speaker. So now, without further delay, I hand over the session to Professor Kharkar. Sir, once again, you are most welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rahul, for the kind introduction. I'll just share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Once again, I'm indeed humbled by the gesture for inviting me for this very important topic, and because of course, I think I can share my experiences and the tricks and ideas what we implemented 22 years ago. That was back in 1998. It's been 22 years or little over 22 years, but I still feel as if it happened yesterday. Everything is very clear in terms of what we did and how all it happened. So I would be very, very happy to share my experience in this regard. And I'm sure at the end of it, many of my student friends would feel inspired, motivated to really take up the GPAT preparations seriously, and hopefully they are able to do very well, and probably that may be the turning point in your life, right? Like sir mentioned, GPAT is an national level exam, which is conducted by National Testing Agency, and it's a computer-based test. Unlike what for us, it was GATE, a Graduate Aptitude Test in Engineering, and it was a paper-based exam. But then, if you see all these years, the way GPAT or this particular exam is shaped is astonishing. in the sense now you have the computer based test, so you can take it in some center. And in fact, from this year they have started with the practice exam. So those who would be taking up GPAT 2021, they would be able to practice the computer based test free of cost in the city where this facility is available. Just follow the GPAT website for this particular aspect, because GPAT preparations is one thing, but doing extremely well in terms of use of technology as well as the time management at the on the exam day during those 3 hours. I think that's very, very critical, because that is the time which can which can actually give ultimate meaning to all the efforts which you have put in for last 4 years of pharmacy, or maybe the crucial period from now, from the very time till you take up the exam, almost 5 months you have in your hand. So without further delay, I would just take you through my presentation and my thoughts over what you should be doing. In fact, the title reads, "Why is it necessary to do what is necessary to crack GPAT?" Once again, many of my friends said the title looks confusing, but I very right from the beginning, I was very sure what I meant by this particular title, and you yourself will realize through the presentation, at the end of the presentation, that I indeed what I mean with this. Right before I get into my presentation, I would like to thank the organizers of PharmaTalk and everyone at SVChems, NMIMS, including Dr. Gaud, Dr. Bala, Dr. Anil, and all his team members, who have been doing extremely wonderful job in arranging these talks, which are beneficial to many actually many students and anybody and everybody who is interested in that. Right. So this is in a way a CSR activity, and believe me, the technology and the pandemic has in a way pushed us into this, and the outcome is really wonderful. And this is what we look forward to, sharing knowledge and inspiring each other and progressing together. Right. So before I again talk about, share my thoughts, whatever views, ideas and opinions I'm going to express, they are solely mine. I have not taken anything from any website except the GPAT syllabus. Rest everything belongs to me. You may not agree with my views or my ideas, but it doesn't matter, we agree to disagree, so that's absolutely fine. Right. So my few questions at the very beginning of this lecture. What are your expectations from this lecture? Right. So I'm sure most of you who registered for this lecture and attending right now, they definitely are looking forward to some important tips and tricks for cracking GPAT, which definitely would be fulfilled. Then again, my next question, am I going to give you a secret mantra to crack GPAT? Now, it again depends on your willingness to prepare for GPAT and your seriousness about GPAT. So whatever I'm going to share, that probably is a secret mantra to crack GPAT if you are willing to do so, from within. Right. Another very relevant question is, are you wasting your time by attending this lecture? Probably not. And of course, you will realize at the end of this lecture that you did not really waste your time. So here, I really want to converse with you all, one-to-one conversation, while you are sitting in your home and listening to what I'm talking. So believe me, I am individually talking to you, and that's exactly what you will also realize during this lecture. And I'm very happy that this whole thing has been arranged, and I get to share my thoughts on this. Probably this is the first lecture ever about GPAT, because there's no gate, where I'm sharing my thoughts, what we practiced. So this is very special for me, and because it's about a gate and whatever happened 22 years ago, it's again very close to my heart, and that's exactly why I'm saying I'm going to converse with you on one-on-one basis. Right. So the question is it about me? Like Dr. Rahul introduced me that I taught in GATE and all. Definitely, it's not about me. It's about the perseverance. It's about the hard work. It's about the willingness. It's about the expectation of everyone from me, and for that matter, from everyone, from the students, like expectations of teachers from students. So it's about the students. It's about you. It's about definitely it's about you, my friends. Although I'm going to make a small expression of my journey, because then unless you understand my journey, you will not take me seriously in terms of whatever thoughts I'm going to say, I'm going to share. Because many times we get inspired by by very bright people, very bright stories, which these people have overcome all the odds which they had, and they did achieve something very great. But in those cases, we get inspired very fast, and then we again come back to reality in the very soon. So and unless you have somebody who is amongst you, who is just one of you, and who has kind of achieved something, again, it's not about me. It's about, I'm representing a student. Every year somebody, some or the other person tops in GPAT or any other exam for that matter. So I'm representing that very student who is amongst you, who is from the same background as you, and who has tried to do something and eventually, I would say, achieved. And that's exactly what the whole story is all about, right? So it's about preparing you from within. Like I'm sure Anil sir has mentioned, or other Anil sir kept mentioning that this is going to be a motivational talk. Of course, I'm going to share the tricks and tips which we practice, and those would be extremely useful to you, I suppose, for your preparations for GPAT. But the most important thing is you preparing yourself for the eventual assignment, that is taking up GPAT exam and doing well, right? So irrespective of what trick I give you or what mantra I give you, everything is futile, useless, if you're not ready to react. Now I have react, you can divide it in receive as in what others have to say, and act on that. So that's what, unless you are ready to react from within, no one is going to help you to achieve things in your life. And the GPAT is just one aspect or one exam. You will have to face many exams throughout your professional life and throughout your personal life, and then come out of those challenges, those exams. So that's where preparing you from within, that's my main goal here. And that's exactly where I'm going to share about my turning point when I was a B.Pharm student back in I did my B.Pharm from College of Pharmacy, NDMVP Samaj College of Pharmacy, Nasik. In 1994, I got admitted to Nasik, and then in 1998 I completed my B.Pharm. So during second year in 1995, something happened, and that I consider as a turning point in my life, which shaped my destiny in my journey in last 22 years since then. And that turning point was one Times of India news article cutting. Now, why is that article cutting so relevant to me, so close to me, so important to me? In fact, this is that article cutting back in 1995, I think December 1995. In our college, we used to have a small showcase, Pharma Corner. So there, one fine day, this particular cutting was displayed from Times of India, right? December, I think December 1995. I was in second year. So it read, Udicity develops compound that works against HIV enzyme, right? Now, why is this cutting so special, and why was it displayed in our college? It's because of this person, which is whose face is circled. His name is Dr. Tanaji Talele. Now he is based in US St. John's University. So this person, this very person, was my super senior from Nasik, and he was one of those people who worked with Professor Kulkarni to do a lot of work on HIV transcriptase. If you talk about HIV protease as well as HIV reverse transcriptase. So HIV protease, the one the diagram which you see on computer screen is HIV protease. HIV-1 protease. So this was the turning point, and then I was like, oh, this guy is from my college. He is now in UD which is one of the topmost institutes in the country, and he's doing so well. And that's exactly where this particular news, that particular day was it turned out to be a very very crucial for me. And around this was one aspect. Around the same time, we used to have Professor VK Maurya, who used to work on molecular modeling, and on his PC, on his personal computer, back then he had a software called HyperChem, and then he used to run some jobs of molecular minimization where the molecules would kind of dance in the sense of minimizing the structure. So we used to see those molecules dancing on his computer, on his computer in the lab on second floor, and we used to be very astonished. And there was a restricted access to that particular lab, and we just were so astonished to see all the time. We used to roam around his lab just to see those things. Then another important thing which turned out to be the turning point was the track record set by my seniors and super seniors, and of course the expectations. Like in College of Pharmacy Nasik, every year a lot of people would appear for get almost full class of 60, out of which every year the all India topper would be from our school, and then probably first, second, third, fourth, like that. There used to be a full array or full set of people who used to top in gate, and then eventually go to UD because back then NIPER was just coming out back in 1998. And then so UD was one of the destinations where all our seniors used to go. Then there was Prashant Padamwar, who went to UD and worked with Professor Akamanshi. There were many others, right? So there was a track record set by our seniors and super seniors. So every year the same expectations were from the batch who used to appear for gate and pass out, right? So then this was and of course I was the class topper in third year B Farm, and then eventually the expectations were from us, not just me, from everyone for that matter, all the toppers and everyone for that matter. So this was another important thing. And then of course I had this childhood dream of discovering a new drug. Before I came to Nasik for B Farm, I had no idea, what a drug is, or rather how to discover a drug. But then when I was a child, when I was a kid, every time we used to have any new medicine, I used to see what is there in that particular medicine. Say tablet, on the tablet strip it contains paracetamol 500 mg, paracetamol IP 500 mg, this that. So I somehow was attracted to the pharmacy field, and then eventually I had this childhood dream of discovering a new drug and making a difference. I did not absolutely know anything about how to discover a drug, what it takes to discover a drug, and anything like that, right? So all of this all of these things in a way shaped, there was the culture was so conducive for all of us to do extremely well in gate 98. As in, if we wouldn't do in gate well, then that was kind of a shame, because we were from the toppers, and then if you don't come all India rank 1 or something, then eventually it was kind of a shame. So we were in a way under peer pressure, under pressure from the faculty and everybody, there was only one pathway. Of course, there used to be students who used to go for GRE and stuff like that. But then this was the major way by which people used to go for higher studies, and that to UD, right? So all of this turned out to be in my favor, and ultimately this is my gate 98 scorecard. You can see all India rank 1. So if somebody asked you, if God asked you, if I give you this card and with your name printed on it and all India rank 1 and the score of the similar type, what would you do, right? So I'm sure your answer would be, I would do anything and everything to have a card in my name like this, right? So in a way, what I'm trying to tell you is, of course, not everybody can be all India rank 1, but in a way, if you have the zeal, if you have the willingness to work, it's very difficult. As in, when I started work, when I started studying for GATE, I never knew I would come topper or something like that, because in these competitive exams, a lot of things matter. As in, there are so many unknown factors, so many known factors, which can even 1 mark here and there, and your rank slips to 100 ranks down, right? So you don't decide and come topper in these particular exams. The only thing which you have in your hand is to work very hard, very diligently, have some strategy, rather than have some focus. And that's exactly why we are here, to discuss what is necessary and why it is necessary, right? So when we had the this particular result declared, and we were so happy. And this is just a song from the movie Chak De India. I just want just 1 minute. I'll probably So my journey was here. It was from Delhi to Melbourne or Sydney, but my journey was from this small town in North Maharashtra called Dondaicha to Mumbai, and that to UD City. So you can imagine my feelings were no different than what this particular video depicted. So you can imagine, like, I always dreamed of going to ICT right from my second year, and all the hard work which I put in eventually culminated into fulfilling my dream. And eventually I was where I was supposed to, or rather where I wish which I wished ever, right? So ultimately I landed up in ICT with Professor Kulkarni's group. I still remember when the admission was happening. That time in the admission room, all the students were sitting, those who were called for interview. And then when Mr. Kulkarni, who was the assistant registrar back then, he called out my name, because I was the top, like I was the first, because the admissions were only on the basis of GATE score. And then he said, Prashant Kharkar, All India rank 1 and GATE score 99.96. And then there was this in the audience. I still remember that very clearly. Now again, I'm not boasting, but then you can imagine something like this happens in your life, and eventually that will take you through. It's been 22 years. I never tell anybody that I was All India GATE rank 1, but then those who know, they eventually have a special, the way they look at me is very special. Many of my colleagues, they did not know about this particular thing till now. Even my son did not know. It was only before 2 months we were discussing something, and my son asked, "Oh, you were All India rank 1?" And I said, "Yes, I was All India rank 1." I showed him this particular GATE card. So then it's although this GATE card is in my name, the scorecard is in my name, but then there are so many people. Every square millimeter of that particular GATE scorecard has been contributed. It's a contribution of my family, my friends, my teachers. Even we used to have one librarian in Nasik College, Mrs. Pagare. So she used to give me a lot of books to study, without anybody knowing it. So she used to take out books from corner. Nobody knew about it. And then we used to get 5 books, but she used to give me like 10 or 15 books. So it is the contribution of people like this who always wish the best for you. And I will never forget her gesture. I will never forget anybody and everybody who in a way motivated me, including my classmates, everyone. The success is not just mine. It's of everyone. And that's where you need to be humble and accept this particular, whatever you achieve, it's never your own thing. As in, it is a culmination of efforts of everyone around you who made it possible, right? So ultimately, my aim was to work with Professor Kulkarni for molecular modeling and computer-aided drug design. I could do that. And sir was to retire in 2003. I completed my master's in 2000. And then there was this dilemma whether he would continue taking students or not. And then I was so perseverant, I persuaded him to take me for his for PhD, and finally there also my perseverance paid off. I became his last PhD student in ICT, and I have this special status. He always remembers me by that, and I also feel proud to be his last student in ICT. He still continues to take students on APTI website. You must have seen 2 days ago that he has actually come up with one patent has been granted. So he is he's probably close to 80, but he's still active. So this is the inspiration a teacher can give to his students, and I just follow him. Actually, his blessings are always there. So in 2003, within a span of 2 years and 362 days, I completed my PhD, submitted my thesis, and eventually I got my PhD next year. So in a way, this childhood dream of becoming or rather discovering a new drug became very strong, because now I was equipped with the necessary skill set to be able to do so, and that's exactly what I am following, right? So today that dream is still continued, and we are very close to filing an investigational new drug application which will make the human trials possible for one cancer stemness inhibitor drug along with Godavari Biorefineries Limited, right? So I feel blessed to have come this far, unless it was those who helped me all throughout, my friends, my colleagues, everywhere actually. So I feel blessed to have those in my life. There is a long way ahead, but I'm not tired. I will keep working relentlessly, patiently, with the hope that I would be able to make a difference. Again, it's not about me. I mean, when I say I would be able to make a difference, so I'm talking about I myself along with others, who would be able to make a difference. So my simple question to you is, all whatever you have heard about me, so it's all about what I feel is it's all about achieving your childhood dream. So my question to you is, do you have a childhood dream? Do you know what you have to do to go ahead in your life? Do you have a plan? Have you decided which path you are going to walk on? It could be anything, and it's possible that you might not have decided, but this is the time. Particularly my friends in final year B farm, you have to decide as to what you are going to do, as in you are going to go for MS, you are going to go for M farm or something else. So like that, I just have to you have to ask these questions. These are very, very relevant questions. I mean, many times you hear people saying that don't take life seriously, but you have to take life seriously if you really want to do something good in your life, to be able to be successful, not by the definitions what the society expects from you, but to be able to do something which you enjoy. I think that's very important. And in that relation, are you trying hard enough to do what is necessary to go where you wish to go, right? So that's where you need to ask these questions to yourself, to be able to get some direction if you haven't already got any direction. I mean, what your parents have to say, what they expect from you, that's one thing, but seriously, you have to analyze, you have to talk to yourself and come up with what you need the most, right? That's where you have to walk. This is where the time tested principles kick in. And like I told you, the gate story, my gate story was 22 years old. You might actually say that what this guy is going, he doesn't even know what GPAT is, or he hasn't taken GPAT. So what is he going to tell us about? And that's exactly why I asked you a question, whether I was wasting my time by attending his lecture. So but then, because these are time, I'm going to talk about time tested principles. So GPAT is just one context. These principles probably would be helpful to you for any and every exam in your life, be it a real life exam, or be it some exam which will qualify you for something. This is where the words of wisdom fill the air. Now, my experience is one thing, and all these years as a teacher, since last 7.5 or 8 years, more than 8 years, what I have seen, hundreds of students going through their thinking, their mentality, their willingness. So I can definitely advise you as a teacher. I can share some few words of wisdom which definitely would be useful to you. The most important thing is you must realize the immense potential you hold. Many times we underestimate ourselves, and that's where the biggest mistake happens. Not that like everybody is smart, everybody has the same capability, everybody has the same time of the day, 24 hours, but why some people do so well, why some people do not do so well. So that's where the realization that we hold an immense potential, which can make us make it possible to do unimaginable, to do something unthinkable. Nobody would have ever thought that this person would be able to do or achieve something like that. This is where you need to gear up and do the necessary things. And that's why it is necessary to do what is necessary to crack GPAT is what I'm going to talk about. So are you guys ready to take a dip? I am sure you are, right? So that's where we start talking about GPAT, and you definitely would find it relevant in terms of the preparation. Even if you're not serious about GPAT 2021 at this very moment when you are listening to me, but believe me, there is still enough time. And like I said, everybody is smart, everybody has the same internet available, same 24 hours available. So this is where you need to now strategize, manage things, and nothing is impossible. And while I was going through the GPAT syllabus, as well as the pattern of examination, believe me, what you have now is much easier in terms of the pattern of examination. Although the syllabus looks very vast, but then it's not different than what we used to have. When I've taken a look at GPAT syllabus, the whole syllabus is around 47 pages, right? So if you remove spaces and all, it will still be around 40 pages and around 16 to 18 syllabus subjects in the syllabus, right? So but then this is where I'm going to talk about few strategies which eventually will help you in condensing the syllabus, condensing the content, and get it right. So the first thing you should be doing is take a thorough look at the GPAT syllabus. As in, you go through it, but then you also discuss with your teachers, you also discuss with your seniors, mentors, whomsoever you feel comfortable with. You can definitely talk about a syllabus and try and match that syllabus with your third year BPharm syllabus, final year BPharm syllabus. And of course, some of this would be from first year and second year, but majority of the stuff will be from third year BPharm as well as final year BPharm. So this is where you need to put together things in proper perspective, right? The next important thing is understand the examination pattern meticulously. Now, what I understand from the GPAT website is you will have to attempt 125 questions in 3 hours time. So that gives you around 86 seconds to attempt each question. And for every wrong answer, they will deduct 1 mark, right? So there is negative marking, 0.25 negative marking. And for every correct answer, you will get 4 marks, right? So 125 questions, 4 marks each, so 500 things, right? So you have choices to attempt all the questions, or you have choices to attempt only those questions who essentially you think you know the answer perfectly, right? So, and because it's a computer based test, and since this year they are going to also make you available the practice test free of cost. So I think around 2 months before the actual exam date, you should start taking those tests, because like I said, you studying for GPAT is one thing, but then actually doing well in the on the exam day in the computer based test is another thing. So that's where you need to familiarize yourself with the exam pattern, and they are kind enough to allow you to take practice tests which was not there earlier. So you need to understand the examination pattern meticulously. The best thing to do is to take a look at question papers of last many years. I'm sure your seniors would have access to that, internet would have access to that. There are answer keys given for the question papers for whatever number of years papers. And then there are many sites who all you have to do is just register with them, and then eventually you will be able to download those papers. So the best thing is to look at the question papers right now. Don't worry about even if you don't know the answers and it looks like Greek and Latin to you, don't worry about it. As in, you have that this is where you have to understand what lies in front of you, and this is where you need to prepare for what could potentially be required to do what is necessary to crack GPAT, right? So this is very very important, and the best part with you guys is that you have access to internet. We did not back then. 1990 it just started. There were no ebooks. There was no YouTube. There was no Google actually. If you ask me, it was just Yahoo back then. So we had no access to any of this. So if I have to study central nervous system, I probably will have to read Guyton or Tortora or other books for like last 4 or 5 hours, and then try and understand what it is. But now with the click of a button on YouTube, the same thing would be explained to you in like 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. So, and that is more because you're visualizing it, you're seeing it, so that is more effective. So you can imagine, the best part you have is access to internet and everything. Another important thing is, because it's a multiple choice based exam, multiple choice answer, so you have all the answers in front of you, as in you have to just select one, and most of the times they look very similar. So unless you have studied meticulously, you would not know which is the correct answer, right? So that's where your life becomes easy. So out of those four choices, one is definitely the answer. You just have to identify. So isn't that kind of comforting or easy, unlike us, where we had out of 150 marks, 75 was subjective, 75 was objective. Again, in objective only 20 marks were for multiple choice. There were match the pairs, there were fill in the blanks. That was difficult. So unless you memorize those, you wouldn't be able to write the answers. But for you, everything is in front of you. You just have to identify, unless you study very meticulously. So in a way, what I'm trying to tell you is the memory part is in a way taken care. You don't really have to worry about the memory based learning as far as preparing for GBAT is concerned, and that is the most comforting thing. And that's where I said 5 months what you have from now is the enough time for you to prepare very well, even if you have not been serious throughout your first 3 years or even the last semester. But don't worry, this is the time you can make up for that, right? So the most important thing is time management. Now time management during the exam, time management for the preparation starting from today or from this very hour till you take the exam. So you need to decide on the strategy to cover all the syllabus. Do not keep anything to option or anything. But then if you look at the syllabus, there is pharmaceutical jurisprudence, there is pharmaceutical management, there are other regulatory aspects. So and most of those things are kind of memory based things, so you can keep it for later thing. So or whatever you are comfortable, start with those subjects, those topics. And that's exactly where, because the more you cover the syllabus, the more confidence you build in, and that's where you speed up. So it's like when the car is steady, as in you start it, it takes time, the engine takes little time to heat up, and once it heats up, it can very smoothly run. But then this is where you need to work around, decide the strategy to cover all the syllabus and have enough time for the revision at least once before the examination. And like I said, because this is not going to be a memory based exam, so this is where you need to you don't have to worry too much about remembering things. Cluster similar subjects or topics. So if you are studying medicinal chemistry and pharmacology, so medicinal chemistry and pharmacology will go hand in hand. But then unless you know basics of anatomy and physiology, and of course the associated pathophysiology, so you have the normal individual anatomy, physiology, then pathophysiology, something goes wrong, and then you work around, like there are drugs which can overcome those, like give symptomatic relief or the treatment options. So there is pharmacology associated with that. There is medicinal chemistry associated with that. So out of those 18 subjects, if you cluster them together, ultimately you will be left with 4 or 5 subjects, or max 6 subjects, right? That's where you need to cluster similar subject and study them together. Don't study pharmacology like autonomous drugs acting on autonomic nervous system. Pharmacology study separately, medicinal chemistry study separately. Don't do that. Even the pathophysiology part you study at the beginning, anatomy, physiology first, pathophysiology, and then medicinal chemistry and pharmacology. So by this way, you can substantially reduce the content. So ultimately, you have to fit in this huge syllabus in the span of say 4 months and 1 month for revision. So that's where you need to put things together, reduce it to many times the if you have to solve a problem, you have to reduce the dimensionality of the problem, make it a simple problem from a complicated problem, and that's where you can deal with the problem easily. Topic prioritization. Again, in topic prioritization, you can have many tricks, but one of the tricks is word cloud. You can actually prepare a word cloud from any Word document or PDF file in Word. All you need is an app from the Microsoft Office named Word Cloud. If you go to Microsoft Word Developer tab and then search for app, you will be able to get it. So you need to prepare the Word Cloud from the syllabus, from the question papers of GPAT, or any document from that matter, and your own empirical analysis. In the sense, just by looking at the question papers, you know which topics are more important. And if you search on Google, you will get there are certain types of questions which are asked repeatedly almost every year. Little twisting of questions here and there, and eventually it will tell you to I mean, those are the questions most the most when we were in 10th or so, we used to have this 21 Equis Apekshit Sancha, so which used to have most likely questions. So similarly, this word cloud can help you in doing that. I'll show you. Another important thing is discuss with your teachers, seniors, mentors, friends, tutors, blogs, internet. Do not leave any stone unturned. Do anything and everything, because you have access to talk to people, discuss with your teachers, and believe me, your teachers will be more than willing to help you if you are, if you seek help, right? So that was something you are doing good. So till now, you have condensed the syllabus, you have prioritized the topics. Now this is the time where you have decided the strategy. This is the time to now put the next gear and get ready for the study. So this is what I was talking about. This is the word cloud. Now, the bigger the letters and bigger the size, that means that topic is of that word is of more important. This I have generated using the GPAT syllabus. Complete syllabus, but you can do it for the clustered subjects: medicinal chemistry, anatomy, physiology, pathophysiology, pharmacology together, and these words will little bit change. So if you see, reactions are important, rearrangement reactions are important, stereochemistry is important, aromatic compounds are important, then you have got pharmaceutical nomenclature is important, then you have got equations and a lot of things. This is just an example, but you can quickly get an idea by preparing a word cloud from any document, including your syllabus, or even for that matter, question paper solutions like that, or notes, whatever. So this is a good trick to understand what is more important and what is not, so that this can help you in prioritizing the topics. The next thing is start with the basics. Initially, sir mentioned, Lakshman sir mentioned, as well as Rahul sir also mentioned, you need to get ready with the basics, because now when it comes to medicinal chemistry, a lot of people have a fear. They fear the structures, but that's okay. As in, it's okay to fear the structures, but it's just that you need to put in more efforts to understand structures, to be able to talk with the structures, and that's where you need to first think about the heterocyclic system, because most of the drugs will have at least 80% of the drugs have some or the other heterocycle. So it's a good idea to know the common names of the heterocyclic system: indole, quinoline, isoquinoline, pyrazine, pyridazine, quinazoline, naphthyridine, and you name it, all the commonly occurring heterocycles. You don't have to go at a very hi-fi thing. Another important thing, if you see in your syllabus, you have got IUPAC nomenclature for various functional groups, you have got nomenclature for heterocyclic groups. Again, if you see the GPAT questions, like previous question papers, they don't really ask you what is the IUPAC name of this, or what is the IUPAC name of this heterocycle or this functional group or this compound. They don't ask, but that basic understanding will give you an important aspect in terms of identifying the heterocycles in drugs. And that's where you randomly take out one drug structure and try and identify the functional group in that, try and identify the heterocycles in that. So this is how you talk to structures, as in structure is not going to talk to you, but then when we converse with someone, we try and talk to someone the topic which they are interested in, or the topic which, like, you initiate the conversation and then the conversation continues, because you get to know about each other. But here a structure is an inanimate object, but you are an animate object, so you need to talk to structures, and you need to talk to the structure in the chemical language, the functional groups it has, the kind of heterocyclic systems it has, how they are connected, and always there is some clue of the structure name. The name of the structure will always have some or the other thing in the structure. Meaning, if you say valsartan has got valine functional group in the or valence side chain in the drug structure, and that's how you differ or you distinguish it from candy saturn, right? So that's how you need to use some mnemonic, some idea to remember the structure name, like then from the name you remember the structure. So that's where you need to consciously practice, without which it's difficult for you to take it ahead or rather know the basics. About the pharmacology part, the most important thing I would say is autonomic nervous system. If you know autonomic nervous system well, believe me, half of the battle is won, right? So you have got parasympathetic system, you have got the sympathetic nervous system, and then they have got other names: adrenergic system, cholinergic system. Then you have got different receptors of that alpha beta, and in cholinergic system you have got nicotinic, muscarinic also have got four, five types. Nicotinic receptors have got so many types. So for each of these receptors you've got agonists, antagonists. So you go and expanding the tree, and believe me, if you know autonomic nervous system very well, believe me, half of the battle is won. And I'm very fortunate to understand this very early in my student days, and eventually that is also helping me like today as well. When I teach something, I don't have to think about what is something or what is something not. So this is where you need to remember the mnemonics of even the neurotransmitter, which is the neurotransmitter of cholinergic system, what is the neurotransmitter in the ganglia. So you remember one thing, and with reference to that you remember the other thing. So this is how human mind is in a way tuned to remember something if you try to remember it in comparison to the other thing. And that's where you need to devise strategies and ideas to remember. Now there are many examples, but then you have to devise your own things, because if you try to mimic somebody, that probably may not work for you, and that this is where you have to come up with your own ideas. Like I told you, watch videos of all the human system to start with, and you don't have to watch it again, right? Because it's our human body and we are familiar with most of the things. But then while watching this video, you take out notes, important points, doing so. And also save the link topic wise if you are watching some videos, because many times the YouTube content changes, and it's possible that you might not find a video afterwards, right? Because there are either similar sounding names of the videos or other. So that's where you need to just copy and paste the link, so that next time you have to revise it or next time you have to see it, you have everything as a ready reckoner. You just have to click on the link on the word file, and eventually it will take you to the same video if you have to watch it again, if you want to revise or something. So these are again simple things. At times we are not careful, because we believe, we take YouTube for granted, and we don't really bother about anytime we will watch the video. But then you need to do the serious thing. In case of anatomy, like I told you, clustering the subject: anatomy, physiology, pathophysiology, medicinal chemistry, and pharmacology. You study together. Start from anatomy, physiology, pathophysiology, and then medicinal chemistry and pharmacology. Don't emphasize and be obsessive about remembering things right away, because your exam pattern is such that you don't have to recall a lot of things. Like, you have answers in your in front of you on the computer screen. All you have to do is select the right one, and that's where your mind power will come in picture. Even if you don't remember anything right now, you probably will remember it when you really need it. So this is how. But then you have to take enough efforts to store that information in the long term memory, and that only happens through practice. But do not emphasize and be obsessive about remembering things, because it's not about memory test, right? Focus on understanding and making connection, because many times we read some information. To be able to convert that information into knowledge, you have to connect the dots, make connections. So unless you make connections, you will not be able to remember. Meaning, you will probably be able to remember, but then you'll forget fast. But then if you make connections, it will be there in your memory for a very long time. Say, for an example, the neurotransmitter in the autonomic ganglia is acetylcholine. So be it a sympathetic nervous system or parasympathetic nervous system, it is always acetylcholine. So if you have got, and the receptors in the ganglia are nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. So the ganglionic blockers actually are nicotinic receptor antagonists, or because nicotinic receptor is an ion channel, so those are ion channel modulators or ion channel blockers. So unless, so if you have those agents, so those will ganglionic blockers will affect both the sympathetic as well as parasympathetic output. Meaning, so this is where you need to understand, and also there are many other anomalies in the autonomic nervous system itself. Say at the motor end plate, the neurotransmitter is ganglia, but then so there are a lot of things you eventually have to kind of make connections and remember. This is another mnemonic. I used to remember this particular thing, like there are two terminologies, say epinephrine or adrenaline. And then I used to remember this word EAB. So the first letter is E. Epinephrine is American terminology. A is for American, and adrenaline is British terminology. So anytime anybody asks me, tell me whether epinephrine or norepinephrine is American or British terminology. So I used to remember this word EAB. Okay, epinephrine, American terminology. If somebody asked adrenaline, it's a British terminology. So likewise, you have got norepinephrine, it's an American terminology. Noradrenaline is a British terminology, right? Because Americans have to be different from the British. So that's where they came up with a different nomenclature, and that's where at times it can be confusing. Similar thing is, like I told you, the structure and its name, it has a story to tell. They have a story to tell. So I told you about valsartan already. In case of hydrochlorothiazide, the structure of hydrochlorothiazide is very similar to chlorothiazide. The only difference is the addition of hydrogens. So that hydro word in hydrochlorothiazide comes from the hydrogens which are added at position number, I think 2 and 3. So this is how you should remember. Similarly for histamine, because it's a biogenic amine, it exists in two different tautomeric forms, n-tau and n-pi tautomer. So you see here the difference between these two tautomers. So the nitrogen which is closer to the side chain is the pi nitrogen, and the nitrogen which is away from or farthest from the side chain is the tau nitrogen. So if NH is on the tau nitrogen, that is NH tau tautomer, or it's a telitautomer. And if it is on the pi nitrogen, which is which is closer to the side chain, it's pros tautomer. Now how do I remember this? Because the nitrogen is closer, meaning if I say P comes before T, so that's why the NH, if the NH is the next to the biogenic amine, so that's N-pi tautomer. So that time this can be confusing, and that's where you need to have some tricks like this, which eventually will help you to understand. Another important thing is pharmaceutics. I think the major emphasis is on pharmaceutics and related subjects. So this is where physical, you need to couple physical chemistry, pharmaceutics, and inorganic chemistry together, because many a times you are dealing with reaction rates, you are dealing with kinetics, thermodynamics. So all of these things will eventually come together. And when you say pharmacokinetics, you need to eventually talk about the interfacial phenomena. Then another important thing is the pK. If you understand the very concept of what is pKa, believe me, half of the pharmaceutics and the biopharmaceutics is taken care, right? As in, then it becomes easy for you to understand the concepts, right? And then a pH partition hypothesis. Then another one is complexation. Then you have got to remember about drug delivery system. But the moment you say interfacial phenomena, what happens on how you stabilize suspensions, how you stabilize emulsions, what are the different types of emulsions, how are the W by O emulsifiers versus OW emulsifiers, and how are multi emulsions, nano emulsions, micro emulsions. So all of these things come in proper perspective. It's like it's like a maze. You get into one place. You take out one clue, that clue will take you to the next level. So that's where you need to go in a stepwise manner eventually to understand one topic from the other, and that's where your interest develops. Because if you consider it as a burden, you will never be able to study freely. But this is where the government, the whole testing process has made it possible that it is no more a memory based test. You need to, everything is in front of you, you just have to identify the correct choice, right? So this is an important thing. For microbiology, again, understand the unique features of bacteria. How are gram positive different than gram negative? How are acid fast bacteria different from non-acid fast? Then the viruses, fungi. Because again, once you prepare for microbiology, all your antimicrobial part in the pharmacology as well as in the medicinal chemistry is done. But then again, there are other aspects to microbiology, including biological assays, including sterility testing. So that's where you need to refer to, say, the latest Indian pharmacopoeia. And every year, the Indian pharmacopoeia, although the new edition comes after 4 years, but every year they will go on adding some addendum. Say in 2019, they added some more things. The previous pharmacopoeia was 2018, right? And that's where you need to refer to the latest information on the Indian Pharmacopoeia website, and I'm sure every college will have the latest edition of Indian Pharmacopoeia. The general notices part is very, very important. They keep on changing the specifications. So if you say slightly soluble, so that is 1 in 1,000 parts, or very slightly soluble, it's 1 in 10,000 parts. So the general notices part is very important. You need to at least read once. Then you need to also refer to individual antibiotic monographs for understanding the microbiology aspects of those. The bioassay, various microorganisms are used for bioassays. There are specifications for sterility testing. There are particular protocols which are described for antibiotic sensitivity assays. So all of these things, once you read through, believe me, it's going to be so very easy to follow, easy to remember. And even if you remember, if you don't remember in between, you believe me, as in you will remember me while attempting your exam, where I said you will eventually remember the moment you have that particular question in front of you and on your computer screen, you will select the correct choice, right? So keep on referring to the latest information, because the test setters will also try and test your knowledge of the latest information, including Indian pharmacopoeia and all other things, right? For pharmacognosy, which is again very, very important, little complicated topic in terms of understanding how the natural products are biosynthesized and their structural features, stereochemistry, medicinal property. Again, if you see, because you don't really have to draw any structure in the paper, so you don't really have to worry too much. It's just that a particular plant, there is a class of bioactive principles. So what are the structural features? Because there would be questions related to that. So if you are saying anthraquinone glycosides, so anthraquinone glycosides are C glycosides, right? Whereas if you talk about other glycosides, mostly it's O glycoside. There are some the linkage in say DNA or the nucleotides is an beta N glycosidic linkage, where ribose sugar is attached with the nitrogen base. So all of these things, so you need to understand all the different aspects of the biomolecules, including lipids, carbohydrates, proteins, and nucleic acids, because there could be very detailed or very precise questions from those. So again, like I said, you don't have to draw any structure in the exam, so that's where you don't worry about remembering all the structures, but you need to be familiar with the structure. The moment you see structure, it should it should click in your mind that this structure belongs to this particular drug or this like that, right? So again, scientific and common names of medicinal plants, this is very important. The pharmacopoeial specifications, when it comes to identification tests, you need to know thoroughly various identification tests for steroids, lignins, phenols, and many other things, right? So this is where you need to prepare the basics eventually. Now coming to the strategies. The first important strategy which I would advise is group study is the key. You can have a physical group from your classmates, from your class, or it can be a virtual group like WhatsApp group, where you continuously keep on discussing. Like I tell you, we had a group of around nine classmates. Like I was all India rank 1, all India rank 2 was from the same group, all India rank I think 9 was from the same group. So all 8 got very good score in GATE. The lowest was 98. Like I was the topper, and the lowest was 98. So you can imagine how much the group study helped us. And we used to study literally like on Sundays, or even in the like weekends, and even after the school. Like we were 6 of us staying in a flat, and then 3 others used to come, the localites used to come and study with us. So group study is the key, because see what happens is, if you have a group, then you can share tricks. Like every person is different, the thinking is different. So one person might have some very interesting tricks, so they can share these tricks with the others. That essentially will help everyone to master the studies, because at times we are amazed by what how other person is thinking, and eventually that leads to time saving, because now there are only 5 months. So the best thing you can probably do is to study in a group. form the group right away after the lecture if you have not already done so, if you are serious, and take like-minded people. Don't take people who would pull you down. So you need to practice good behavior where everyone has this very desire to be successful, and not one person will succeed and the other person will not. So don't make such students or such people part of the group, because then it will work against the actual intention of everybody succeeding, right? So practice good behavior, and you need to help everyone without having in your mind that if I help him, he will get more marks. I mean, there are more than 20, 25, 30,000 students, and you are talking about 5, 6 students that he will go ahead or she will go ahead. Don't worry about that. You never know what others are doing. So that's where you need to help others, because if you help the other person will also help you, and you never know what he or she may have which will be of interest to you. So unless you give, you will not get back. That's where if you help others, God will help you. Always, practice that compassionate trait, and you will never be disappointed in your personal as well as professional life. And take weaker students along. This is very, very important. As in, that weaker student who needs help, he probably may not ask for it, but then you have to go be proactive, help them, because this same student might actually become somebody really great, and he will remember you for the rest of his life, that it was you who took proactive action and help him to succeed, to take ahead. So that's where you need to take others along. So you need to help that social responsibility right from when you are a student. Help those who need it. Not everybody is probably as bright as you, but you need to help everyone without because the moment you are trying to help him, meaning you are explaining him, so in the process you yourself will become better in what you are at, right, or what you are good at. So that's where you need to do that. Another important trick would be make charts of structures, definitions, pathways, formulae, even the microbes which are used in bios, and display them in your study room or wherever you can see them. And in fact, you can divide this chart preparation thing among your group members, so that like in 1 week, all the charts are ready, and you share those things by WhatsApp group or by email or whatever, and probably take print out or make handwritten charts and put it in your thing in your study room or on your WhatsApp groups. As and when you get a time, just go through that, and then eventually you will be able to have that information right away in your hand. Take out brief notes for last minute revision. So just make out some points. In fact, I did that. I had a bunch of notes, and eventually I one of my juniors, she took those notes. Again, she was a topper, Sita Lakshmi Iyer or something, but then she never topped actually, because those notes were for me. She always said, I never understood why drew those notes. But then my other seniors helped me, like Dr. Preeti Sangve, who also happened to be my colleague at NMIMS. So she had her handwriting is very, very beautiful. So she actually handed over all her notes to me, when because she was 1 year senior to me. So her notes also helped me a lot. So in a way, you need to help people, and God will always help you, right? The next thing is time management and planning is very important. That's where you need to be very, very exercise self disciplines and visualize the outcome. Your thoughts have a great power. Unless you visualize the outcome that you have really done something at say GPAT or anything which you do for that matter, you will not be able to achieve that. So create those waves, create those positive vibes, create your thought. Believe me, your thoughts have great, great, great power. What you visualize, the universe will make it happen, and you will eventually see that it actually is happening the way you thought. If you think good, good will happen to you. If you think bad, bad will happen to you. So create those thoughts very proactively. Positive thoughts. Work very, very hard. There is no shortcut or substitute to hard work. Nobody will be able to do it for you. You have to be true to yourself, as in don't give excuses for not doing good in something because you did not put enough efforts. Now again, what is enough effort? So you don't know what effort is enough effort. So in that case, you keep on doing whatever, stretch your limits, do whatever you can, and that exactly will be enough, according to your capabilities, your expertise, and something like that. So be patient, be perseverant, don't worry too much, don't associate the efforts with the outcome. It's possible that many people work very hard, but then they probably don't get it in the shorter run, but then in the long run they eventually becomes successful. They eventually become successful because the hard work never goes west. If you have put in hard work into something, in some or the other form, God will give you a reward for that. During exam week, be very calm. So now we are close to the exam week, right? So be calm and meditate. Don't worry too much. If you couldn't do it in last 5 months, you won't be able to do anything in the last week. So don't worry too much. Just revise whatever you have done. Take enough sleep. This is very important, and this is where most students, in a way, make mistake. At least 7 hours sleep, because you have to keep your mind very calm. Like I told you, your efforts in last 5 months is one thing, but then that last week and on the last day during those 3 hours, what you are able to put in will decide the outcome, right? So that's where you need to practice meditation or be calm. Revise, but don't try to remember out of nowhere. So like I said, it's a different ball game only, the exam pattern. So don't worry too much. Reduce social media usage, because see, the most important, apart from time wastage, the social media has a great power to influence your thought process. So don't reduce social media usage. I would say in the last 1 month, as in you talk to your group, but don't be into other things like Facebook or other things, whatever. You have to reduce social media usage, because others might express something, and that can influence your opinion, and all the work or hard work which you have put in, that goes down the drain. On the exam day, do not read or revise. If the exam is from 2:30 to 5:30, since morning, just be calm, talk to people, have breakfast, and get ready for the exam. Anyways, they won't let you anything inside the exam hall, neither pencil nor paper, no mobile, no headphone, nothing, right? So you just have to walk in the way you have come into this world, just the way you have to go into the exam hall, except you will need pen. I don't think they allow water as well, but then that's a different thing. So what I'm trying to tell you is, on the exam day, do not read or revise, because you have to keep your mind free of clutter, right? If you haven't done in last 5 months, what will happen in last 5 hours, right? So get up, pray, be calm, confident, and get to the exam hall. Don't get influenced by the scene. You will see probably students are last minute revision, this, that. There one is person is asking somebody else this question. Don't listen to those questions. Don't try and understand or try and recollect the answers for that. Do not do that. Stay away from the crowd. That's best. Believe in your efforts and blessings. Remember God. Thank God for helping you in every possible way, so that you could be there for the exam, for attempting the exam, and just walk with that positive thought. Walk in the exam hall, right? Avoid food right before the exam. At least give around 2 to 3 hours. Otherwise, it can be influenced. Your thought process can be influenced because of physiological reasons. Once you see the question paper, read it thoroughly. I'm sure it is like one question after the other comes in front of you. As far as the CBT, computer based test, is concerned, read it thoroughly. Like I told you, for every question you get 86 seconds to attempt, right? So but then again, it's like right from the like all 3 hours, you probably wouldn't use that time. In the sense, consider 50 seconds on an average for each question. So the moment some questions are really short, and you know the answer, so immediately you move on to the next question. And for some question, if you keep track of time, so if some question is taking more time, just leave aside and come back to that. Make a note some place on the rough paper which is given to you in the exam hall. Make a note on that, this question is to be solved. Yeah. And then just move on. Preferably do not attempt extra questions, because you have got first thing, you have got the first okay, just a minute. Yeah. Make sure you do not attempt extra questions, because you have got here extra questions, in the sense, I would say the questions which you think are not you are not sure, because there is a negative marking system. So you need to just get back to all the attempted answers, check them, because many times it's possible that first time you have got it wrong. So that's where, and once complete, close your eyes, feel the air, you have done it, you have really done it actually, and feel proud of yourself. The result is just the byproduct of everything, all the factors which in any way, any and every way could influence the outcome. So now it's done. I'm sure the result comes out in like less than 15 days time. So just feel that, if I were you, I would not even bother about checking the answer keys which are displayed by the GPAT on the GPAT website, because it's done. There is no way you can reverse it. Just wait for the effort, for the results to be out. After results, plan your future moves, because if you do really well, people will advise you even if you don't ask for it. So then you need to decide as to which college, which discipline, what is your aspiration, what are your dreams. So match everything in that, on that line. Be firm on what you want to do. Don't get influenced if someone is going to one college and then you also. So just be very sure. I mean, it's possible you are confused, but that's okay. But then give a thorough thought as to what you want to do. You've just crossed one hurdle. The real struggle is ahead, right? So but then this struggle, that is inversely proportional to the efforts you have put in. You will have the struggle in future. If you have not put enough efforts now, you will have more struggle. If you have put more efforts, you will have less struggle, right? So this is what happens. Never lose heart if you couldn't make it. This is not the end of it, right? So this is just one part of this. You probably might have thought about yourself, maybe MBA or other things, because at times there is always a hue and cry that they teach everything in the class or in the school, but they never teach to deal with failure. So it's okay, as in it's very much possible, but you know how much efforts you have put. So be true to yourself. Don't blame anybody if you couldn't make it. Don't blame anybody for sure. Maybe you can try again if that that is allowed, or something allowed in the sense, if it's possible with you. But then don't believe in his plans. Something happened, definitely, of course, he will guide you to do take all the efforts and do the best possible. But sometimes things don't work. So believe in his plans, God's plan. Keep working hard. No one can stop you from being successful. So again, if you see, it's not about marks. You will forget your marks few years down the line. Nobody will remember. It's about you, your perseverance, your resilience, the ability to bounce back, your beliefs, your faith, your blessings, your never to give up attitude, expectations of others from you, your own expectations from yourself, and your aspirations, right? So getting good marks in some exam, or doing extremely good in some exam, is just a culmination of many different factors, and marks is just a measure by which they will rank you. But the rest, other, nobody will understand, nobody will know the kind of struggle you have gone through, the kind of efforts you have put in, except you, right? Your immediate family, your parents, your mother, sister, brother, father, everyone. But then that very struggle, that your aspiration, that you have this very ability to do anything and everything, I think that is the most important, which even if you're not successful today, the same ability which you develop across preparing for GPAT will take you very high in life. As in, you have seen many movies where people don't do very well, like Einstein couldn't talk when till he was like 5 years of age or something. But then he did so well, and we remember Einstein for what he did, right? So it's never too late to be successful. But then as a student, like, this is an opportunity given to you, and you just have to use the fullest. Because if you waste 1 year now, then eventually if you retire at the age of 60, where your salary is like 1 crore, so you have wasted 1 year now, so you actually have wasted 1 crore then. But then again, it's not about money, it's about using your time efficiently, doing things at the appropriate age where you are expected to do. Just keep on doing what is you are expected to do. As a student, you are expected to learn, appear for exam, do well, and move ahead, right? So that's where you need to do. Life is so beautiful. Do something good with your life. Don't be disheartened in case something doesn't work out. Get up and again start working on that. No one else will do it for you. It's only you will have to do it, right? So thank you so much for your patient listening. So I think I exceeded the time by 10 minutes or so. I hope the message was conveyed.
Yeah, exactly. Dr. Rahul?
Yeah. So thank you for amazing tips and tricks, Professor Kharkar. Indeed, a great help for those fully immersed in GPAT preparation. Our Zoom was almost fully occupied, and close to
Yes.
300 participants were there at every time during the talk. So, guys, message is very clear. Basics are very important, whether it is chemistry, pharmaceutics, or pharmacology, or any other subject in your syllabus. Second is the use of available technology such as WhatsApp group, virtual groups, etc. Thirdly, and most importantly, the charts and tables must be stick on walls of your room so that every time you must be able to remember the things. So, Professor Khakar, looking at the chat box, it seems that students are really very curious about GPAT, and also anxiety is clearly visible.
Yes.
Means how hard to give the GPAT, prepare for GPAT, what is the right, what is the tough things, and so many things, right? So we have received many questions, but along with Mamta from SSR College of Pharmacy, Silvassa, more than 15 students have
Uh-huh.
asked one question in common. I will take it first. So
Sure.
these students are in third year of B Pharma, and at this
Mm-hmm.
particular stage, they decided to prepare for GPAT and curious to know how to prepare for GPAT in this short period of time.
Yeah. Okay. Now, these are third year students, right? So they will take the exam next year. I mean, even if they want to take it this year, they can, but eventually the next year will be more appropriate because, like I said, most of the syllabus is from third year and fourth year, right? So what I suggest is those third year students, you keep on doing whatever you are studying in your third year, like all subjects, including medicinal chemistry, pharmacology, if you have pathophysiology, organic chemistry is probably not there, but then you can revise organic chemistry, the functional group transformations, various name reactions which are given in your syllabus over a period of time. But at least whatever you are doing in third year, please keep on doing very religiously. I think that is the key. The third year and fourth year is the most important part. And in fact, if you prepare well for GPAT, you can also very well prepare for other exams like NIPER, because the pattern, I'm sure, is more or less similar. Or some many colleges, they have their own exams, like ICT, they have their own exam for which is again based on the similar thing. So in a way, if you prepare well whatever you are doing in your third year, believe me, and apart from that, the first year and second year, if you complete that revision in the third year itself, your fourth year will be just again there. You just have to revise what you studied in third year and whatever you are studying in the fourth year. So there is no extra effort that needs to be done. Like I told you, right from first year I was always in the toppers. So then I always studied whatever I studied very religiously. I used to have all my handwritten notes. I used to use slate actually, but nowadays slate is not visible. But you can practice on papers and drawing structure. So understanding the familiarity with structure and organic chemistry is important, but so is with pharmaceutics. Now, if you see, the major emphasis is on pharmaceutics, so you need to really work around the pharmaceutics principles, particularly the suspensions in emulsions, even rheology. There are a lot of questions, so you need to be very thorough about all the questions. And biopharmaceutics, believe me, like the drug delivery systems and biopharmaceutics, study them together, the interfacial phenomena. So if you see, first and second year is from your all the basics, and third and final year is the applications. But so unless your basics are clear, the applications probably will not be you can't really understand the applications well. So even stability testing, there is so much on stability testing, the questions are asked. They just focus on that. And you can write to me in case you have any particular questions. I'm there on ICT, I'm there on LinkedIn, ICT website. So anytime you want to talk to me, you can always do that. That shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, and the most important thing is these things are, I mean, GPAT is just one context, but these principles will help you in taking up any and every exam, including GRE. It's just the context will be a little different. Of course, I've never taken GRE, so I wouldn't be able to advise you, and I'm not the right person to do so. But I can definitely talk as a teacher, because see, unless that inner willingness is the most important, rest everything can fall in place. You can even study in last 1 month. unless you are ready from within, right? So listen to your teachers. I'm sure a lot of teachers, they would want you to take up GPAT and do really well, but then many times students are not clear about what they want to do, and then they wait for 1 year, come back, prepare for GPAT or other exams. So don't waste your year. That's my very sincere request to you. Life is too short to do anything and everything, to achieve anything and everything. So don't waste any time, actually. Yeah.
So our next question is from Ms. Ankita Kumari, student of Pharma program at SPTM NMIMS Hyderabad.
Mhm.
She's asking that is MS better than MPharm?
MS, as in you are talking about MS from US or MS from NIPER?
MS from India as well. So most of the NIPers are, giving the
Yes.
degree as
Yeah.
MS.
So again, see, like
So
I
students are
told
often
you.
confusing whether to go for this MPharm or MS, and they are almost confusing.
Yeah. So if it is say MS from NIPER, it is definitely better. Better in the sense NIPER has its own class, and if you talk about MPharms, again it is not from where you do your MPharm. I mean, it is important, but ultimately it is your willingness to do something good. As in, if you see there are some students who come from interiors, but they are so bright. They've done their MPharm, so they have in a way came overcame all the odds. I mean, there were not enough facilities, there were not enough material to read or do things, but then no one stopped them from getting out of their colleges and approaching people. So ultimately, and even if you are at the best institute, but if you don't if you're not willing to do some good work, it has no meaning. So irrespective of where you are from, where you are getting your MPharm degree for, unless you have that very zeal for research, that is not going to help you, because ultimately the same thing will be when you go for your job, you eventually will have whatever abilities you develop. And moreover, my sir always used to say that MPharm is for training, meaning for developing the abilities. Don't worry too much if you can't really do extra exceptional work in MPharm. It's only the you have to develop yourself for suppose if you go for PhD, so then that is the MPharm is the time to learn all the technique, because you just get to do just 1 year research if at all you do. So then in that case, it becomes very difficult to understand and learn everything apart from taking classes. So at times it is difficult. So just learn the techniques in MPharm. If you are able to do good work, nothing like that. And because nowadays, you can approach to people, you can go work in others lab. There are always, if you are really perseverant, people will let you in their lab for your perseverance, not because you are from interiors, or you are from from kind of some other not known college. So your willingness, and there are always many times in conferences we meet bright students. They have got bright ideas, they'll come and talk to you, and you are always surprised. See, if when I was their age, probably I was not that into something like that. So that, see, where whatever you do in your life, wherever you are, unless you are willing to do come out of all the obstacles, overcome all the obstacles, you will never do well, irrespective of whether you are at the best institute or you are at the lowest institute. Your willingness is what matters. So if you get chance for MS, go for
Right.
MS. Yeah, absolutely not a problem.
Rightly said, sir.
Yeah.
So one more interesting question here. I was also about to ask that question, that this is an era of online mock test. So
Mm-hmm.
whether these online mock tests are really helpful? Why? Because there are many websites which are coming up with this test series like things, and they are
Mm-hmm.
charging for that as well.
Yeah, again, I would, what I suggest is now from this year, because the free test will be made available to the students. So I am sure there are a lot of people, enough number of people who have made GPAT classes a business, and there's nothing wrong in that if they're really doing good. But that's where you need to talk to people about the quality of that class. I wouldn't advise against getting there unless the fees is exorbitant or something. But the best thing, like I said, since the online practice tests will be available, and you can do it for free of cost as many times as you want, and then there will be tutors and there will be people who would help you with the technology, as in you can actually enroll for that test, go there, take the test, make yourself familiar. But then if somebody is advising you that they'll take your classes and eventually make you score in GPAT, I don't believe in that. I mean, that's what happens for 11th 12th as well, right? The classes which claim that the IITs and for this. So again, there because the students they take additional efforts, and these classes are just handy to facilitate that, because the students are already so bright. Obviously, some are the other students. So, but if you look at the relative percentage, that percentage is very very low. The students who come out of any class, like who top in IIT or other exams. But then there is always this dilemma, because there is a business attached to that. So it's individually you have to take a call. But I would still suggest, because everything is available to you on the internet, and moreover, Nilesh sir was mentioning this morning that the ability, rather the willingness of students to refer to textbooks has drastically reduced. So you have to ask yourself how many times you have eventually issued a book, read Guyton, read Tortora, read Barbara and Barber, and other books like Stryer. So see, you have got everything now. Ebooks are also available from anywhere and everywhere. So are you reading the books enough? Yeah. So these classes people probably will do is, probably they'll just take out, then they'll make the notes for you, and you just have to buy hard that, because but then in that case you probably can lose the context. So that's where I'm saying you need to prepare, read, go to the books. I can very strongly say that don't go for any classes, as in don't go for any classes. Prepare for yourself, because at times, the moment you say classes, you will have to devote special time for that. But if you prepare on your own, like I said, group study is the best. It's as good as classes, where you are your own mentor, or your friend is your mentor, or you are mentor for somebody else. So group study, I think that is the key. So don't waste your money and time. Just go for group studies and you will be fine.
So, sir, one last question I would take, and uh, it is the question from from your generation to my generation and the next generation. This is the very common thing, actually, not the question, but very common thing. A term called notes.
Yes.
A term called notes. So, can you clarify what exactly the meaning of these notes? How to get this note, or one has to prepare these notes by herself or himself?
Yeah. So suppose if I'm preparing for a topic on absorption, distribution, say pharmacokinetics, right? Say for in biopharmaceutics, right? So I start reading some books like Leon Chargel or so. Now in that case, when I'm reading that particular book or that chapter, so what I'll do is I'll first read, right? I try and understand the context, because so then usually what I do, and in fact I practice the same today as well. Whenever I teach any subject, I give students handwritten notes. I used to do that in NMIMS. I do that in ICT as well. Now what are those notes? Those notes are the excerpts of what I have read. So usually if it's a big book, like A4 size book page, so four of those pages, like 4 pages would probably, like 1, 2, 3, and 4 will probably make one full scape for me as far as the notes is concerned. So when I say I take out notes, I will note down the salient features, some keywords, some sentence, maybe a definition I will write. But then while writing that, I will have thought about what I am writing and why I am writing. Because if I read one paragraph, I will write one sentence or maybe two sentences as notes, so that I have all the essential keywords from that paragraph. The moment I read that particular line on the note, I will remember the whole paragraph or the context. Again, like I said, it's not about remembering. It's about understanding the context and connecting the dots. And that's where, of course, I mean, we are mature enough, being pharmacy students, so we are mature enough to be able to connect dots, because we are studying pharmacy, right? So if something comes from pharmacology or medicinal chemistry, we are able to connect dots. When it comes to, say, nicotinic antagonists, why are they so toxic, or ganglionic blockers, why are they so toxic, right? So the context is in their mechanism of action. So I would have just written one or two lines when I took the notes, but for that I would have read maybe two paragraph, one page, like that. So when you take notes, and like I said, my notes did not help my junior. She never could top the class. So in a way, because those notes were for me, so everybody will have their own style of taking out notes, which will help them understand or know what they have read, right? So you have to devise your own style. So notes is just a condensed version of what you have read, right? And then a lot of people don't want to write. I love writing. So you probably someday you will come across my notes from somewhere, which are handwritten notes. My handwriting is okay, it's readable, but then the point is the notes, the content is important, and that's where people love it actually. So you have to devise your own way of taking out notes, which will help you in understand or connect with the bigger topic. Meaning, you, if you refer to notes, you don't have to refer to the notes, or the no, not the notes, the book again. So that's what I mean by notes.
Yeah, rightly said, sir. So notes is something, the definition of which change from one person to another person
Yes,
depending upon
yes,
the own style,
yes,
right?
very much.
So thank you, Professor Kharkar, for taking the
Sir,
questions
Rahul
from
sir,
our audience.
Rahul sir, I think this is very important
Yes, sir.
question from Professor Kharkar
Yes, yes, sir.
college only, like NDMVP. Uh, Miss Isha Tated says in third year B Farm right now, and she want to pursue career in AI in healthcare. My
Oh,
question to you is that what can be possible approaches toward this, and will GPAT help me to pursue career in AI? Please take this question.
Okay, perfect. I mean, very interesting question. When you talk of artificial intelligence, now it's a highly specialized field. But then, because it's like it sits on top, and then you have got the domains. Say, pharmacy is one domain, engineering is one domain, and then healthcare is another domain, like that, right? So if you look at the applications of AI in identifying, say, melanoma, like just by image analysis, so that is one aspect. That's a medical field. Other aspect of AI is prescribing the right combination of cancer drugs depending on what the patient's response or patient's genetic makeup is. That's very relevant to pharmacy field. So one thing is one very important thing is you have to definitely have a domain knowledge, right? So if you're talking of applications of AI in pharmacy, right? So you have to have because you are a you are going to be a pharmacy graduate, so you must have a domain knowledge, and you should be very thorough about that. So with reference to that, so if you want to pursue career in say in like AI in pharmacy, or for that matter AI, and the best way for you could be, go ahead from B Farm to M Farm, and then simultaneously keep on pursuing the AI related courses, at least to make yourself familiar. There are formal courses, and maybe next few years we will have formal courses introduced in the professional courses. And already in engineering there are AI courses, and in fact in ICT also, probably next year we are going to start the AI course for the master students, just on a pilot basis. So we are already getting ready for that. So what I'm trying to tell you is, at this very juncture, where the AI is also in the transition phase in terms of the domain applications, so you go with the flow. Means parallelly you start reading, taking courses about AI, say learning Python to start with, and then at the same time you start continue doing what you are doing in the pharmacy field. So the best way for you to enter in the AI field will be probably, say, during MPharm or right after MPharm. Even if you don't want to go for PhD or so, that's absolutely fine, but at least the MPharm will give you that essential domain knowledge in terms of research, because ultimately you need to know how research is done and how AI can be put together. You might actually work with someone who is working in AI in pharmacy field, right? That's exactly what we have in fact started since this year. One BTech graduate student, she is working with me on applications of AI in computational prediction of toxicity, right? So something like that can be worked out, but then I think you should go for your MPharm or MS, and then eventually enter full-fledged, maybe get formally trained in the AI aspects, like the Python is the key. Of course, R is also there, but Python is relatively easy to learn. So what I advise is complete your B.Pharm, take GPAT, go for M.Pharm, and then simultaneously pursue the AI, because at least these AI related jobs like machine learning, deep learning, and AI, next 25 years these are going to rock. And depending on whether if you are a domain expert, so your value in that field will increase, meaning because AI is just a platform, but then ultimately when you apply it to some domain, say like pharmacy or healthcare, so that's where you need the intricate knowledge of the domain, and that's where the overall outcome of the application becomes more impactful or evident. So GPAT will definitely help you for you to pursue, and maybe by the time you graduate, by then some big institutes must have started courses for AI related courses for pharmacy students, if at all they're not there at this point of time. So you will have a direct entry to those for sure. There are National Bioinformatics Institute. They have all India level exam as well, which is based in Pune next to NCL. So you can also opt for something like that. So everywhere, everything is now culminating into AI, DL, and ML. So you just have to be in the proper flow to be to enter the sea of or to the world of AI. Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Rao.
Okay. So thank you, Professor Kharkar, for taking the questions from the audience. And now we are nearing the end of the event. I hand over the session to my fellow colleague, Dr. Santosh Yele, to present vote of thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Santosh, before your talk, let me speak 2-3 words about
Yeah,
this
please, sir.
webinar. Yeah, thank you, sir. Sir, schools and colleges and universities don't achieve acclaim because of their historical building, heavy funding, or celebrity alumni. They become great because they have outstanding faculty like you. Thank you, Professor Dr. Kharkar, for such amazing talk. During our association since last 7 years, I found you as a very kind, patient, helpful, passionate, and truly caring person about your profession and your students. Thank you for your passion and for your willingness to share that passion with the students. Sir, as you mentioned, the hard work never goes waste. Keep working hard. It's not about marks, it's about you, your passion, your belief, your never give up attitude, your own expectation, your aspiration. Sir, as quoted by Helen Keller, optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. So, dear students, start preparing for GPAT right now. There is no good or bad mood. I think today is the best day to start with. Uh, and even if 10 students are motivated with this webinar, then I think our motto is achieved. Once again, thank you all. Dr. Bala ma'am and Professor Gaud sir, they conveyed best wishes to Dr. Kharkar,
Thank you
and
so
they were
much.
very happy with your presentation. Once again, thank you. Over to you, Dr. Santosh.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you, sir. First of all, I thank you, Prashant, sir. That was a wonderful talk and very informative, very inspiring. I hope most of the students got their zeal, got their test, what they are looking for in this webinar particularly. And they will start, hopefully they will start right now, as Peter sir mentioned. And that is what our intention, to bring that acceleration and the speed to the student who are looking for GPAT to start their career. So thank you, Prashant sir. Thank you. On behalf
Thank
of
you so
School of
much.
Pharmacy and NMRMS University, I thank you very much. At the same time, I thank you all the dignitaries in the meeting room, our Dean, Dr. Bala ma'am, then our Director, Pharma Institution across University, Dr. R.S. Gaud sir, Registrar Meena Chintamani ma'am, for their support and guidance continuously. I extend my thank you to all the SPTM faculty at three ends, Mumbai, Shirpur and Hyderabad, for their continuous encouragement. I thank you all the leadership at university, especially Registrar, Chancellor and Vice Chancellor, sir, for their support and make us motivated to arrange such webinars regularly. I thank you all the audience and their continuous support by attending and giving us feedback regularly, so as we get everything and we try to improve each and every webinar day by day. And I thank you our own resources, our Deputy Director, Dr. Ravi Kiran, then all the IT team for their support, and last but not the least, all the students who they attended, sparing their valuable time, their actually fun time on Sunday with us for their future. So thank you all the students and the audience especially. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Over to you, Rahul sir.
Yeah, I think thank you, Dr. Santosh, for that wonderful vote of thanks. I also want to convey my thanks to Professor Prashant for sharing his inspiring journey from dream to point of realization of the dream. And also very useful tips and strategies, easy to remember, easy to deploy strategies. I hope the student community would make use of them. And also thank you for nicely answering all their questions. I mean, because of positive time, we couldn't take up all, but then I believe Rahul sir has done a good job in taking up the main ones. And before closing, I just want a small reminder, all of you, please give your feedback. It will take just 2 minutes to give your feedback. The link is here on the chat box, and please do stay tuned with us. Our next Pharma Talk webinar will be towards the next month, and as you might have noticed, we have reduced the frequencies once in a month. So we'll get back to you soon with a new advertisement, and have fun and enjoy your Sunday. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, team SPTM.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, thank
Take care.
All right, so I will.
Close the meeting.
Yeah.
I will end the.
Close
I will end the.
Yeah.